All right, welcome to Conversations with Heavy Cardboard. Today, I'm excited to sit down and chat with a couple of good friends of mine who happen to be a couple of the rising stars in the board game design world. Welcome to Conversations with Heavy Cardboard. Today, to their credit, they've designed games such as Nippon, Panamax, the 2013 Golden Elephant Award-winning Madeira, and the hotly anticipated game due out at Eschen Spiel this year, Brazil. I am, of course, talking about the Portuguese powerhouse team of Paulo Soledade and Nuno Sentieiro. So, welcome to Heavy Cardboard, fellas.
Thank you. Thank you for
amazing introduction.
Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to do this, fellas.
I'm completely blushing right now.
Yeah. You nailed it. You nailed it.
You wear it well, though, Nuno.
Okay.
All right, so for those that are a couple of notes here before we get started. If you have any questions for Nuno and Paulo, please address them in the chat. Ask them. The production team, i.e. Amanda in our office, will be making note of them, and we'll go ahead and post them to the fellas at the end for them to ask. Or for them to answer. Also, if you're a fan of the show, you know that I spoke with Nuno and Paulo at Essen last year, did a quick little, 5-10 minute interview with them. But if you're new to the show, you might not have seen that or heard that, as it were. So we're going to start things from the top. So with that said, fellas, how'd y'all get started in the hobby, in board games? Paulo, you want to start? Because you're on my left, so we'll go left to right.
Yeah, why not? And I'm the older one, so
of course,
I should start.
To you, sir.
Yeah. So how did we start? I don't know, actually. I mean, I've always played games for the whole time I remember myself as a human being. And I think this was a very, very natural thing to start with. My father bought me my first game, which was like Monopoly. I mean, my first grown-up game. And after that, I never, ever stopped playing games. So this was kind of a natural behavior, I think. Right. Survival thing, I don't know. Survival thing, why not? Yeah, what's survival thing?
On my end, is completely different. I arrived to board games because of Paulo. Because he's my brother-in-law. There's a funny story in the podcast if you want to listen to it. And
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Okay.
Not going there, no.
I was ready for it. I have the perfect comeback written here. No, I am not. So I like to go out and drink. I'm a few glasses of beer and stuff like that. And Paulo one day said, "But I have beer at my home. And we play board games. Do you want to come here and play with us?" And I said, "Hey, this is so stupid. Of course not." But I went because my sister made me. And a lot of years now, and I'm completely in the hobby.
Okay. You can tell beer, it's the small things,
Right.
It's the small things.
So you guys are a package deal. How did you guys meet, and how did you both decide, hey, you know what, let's start designing board games? How did that come to be?
Yeah, like Nuno said, so we met because we are relatives. I mean, we are family. And we started to design board games because, there were not enough board games in the world. And we thought that maybe there's some room to our kind of games. We really loved Martin Wallace's games, also Mark Gert's games, and we thought something like, why not create something of our own, something that we really would like to play? And this kind of made a click, and the Madeira was the next step afterwards. So like 3 or 4 years later, we actually produced, with What's Your Game, obviously,
sure.
Madeira, which is the first ever winner of the Elephant
the Golden Elephant Award, yeah.
The Golden Elephant Award. So,
right.
Which, by the way, is 3 years old today, right?
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Yes, the show is, and that's not coincidence that I had you guys on today specifically. Yes.
Yeah. Mr.
You're
Davis
too
is-
nice.
yeah.
So if that's the case, if you guys just decided, hey, you know what, let's make a game that we enjoy, how did you come about with Madeira specifically? Why that? Now, obviously, you're both Portuguese. I get that, and it's something close to home. But why specifically that?
Okay, I may try on this because I made the trip. So actually, I went to Madeira at one point, and for some reason, it clicked in my head that Madeira was probably the perfect scenario to create a board game about, because it was an empty island. The guy who discovered, one of the guys that discovered the island, it was three, I think. I don't remember very well now. So it was completely empty, they say. And they start to bring all the colonizers and all, planting the wheat for food, and everything else came after. So it was the storyline was there.
Okay.
So that's why it kicked in the theme for Madeira specifically. Also, it's a very close team because we are Portuguese.
Of course. So did you go to Madeira for the game, or did you just happen to go there and then you came back and told Nuno, hey, I have this idea? How did that happen?
No. Actually, my wife didn't allow me to go for a specific travel just because of one game. It was completely nonsense. It's something that you get after. So you make the trip with your kids and everything, and then you have the idea, which is much easier, for your wife as well. So makes more sense. Yeah.
I remember at that time we started playing Euro games, and then we went to the heavier games. But the heavier games were or Martin Wallace's or old classics. People were not really doing heavy games at the time. And now it's a trend, and fortunately they are already back. Yes. So there are more and more every year. So that was part of going to your previous question, the starting of the creation process of a game. It was like, why there are not as many games, as many medium heavy games as we would like to play? Why don't we do one? And that was the starting point. And Madeira, as Paulo said, was really, after I read the history, I knew the history, but just a little bit. After I researched it, I told them, yeah, it's a great thing. It's a great idea. The storyline is done.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Madeira, the mechanisms in the game, because obviously you guys started with the theme of Madeira first. And so how did you come up with, or how did you decide on the pairing between the theme and the mechanisms? How did that come to be during the design process?
I would like to say that it all came naturally and easy, and we're genius, but it's not like that at all.
No.
The first prototype we presented in Essen was really different. It had the storyline, it had the eras, so the wheat, the sugar, and the wine.
And the wine, right?
It had a dice mechanic. It was almost like the final one, not really the final one. And after that, it was like 4 years in development, 3-4 years. Play testing and developing and going back and forward to trying to get everything in the...
Let me interrupt you just to say something which is very, very, very cool, I think. We presented the game in
I didn't want to tell them.
in a completely blank. When I say blank, it's white board, So we need to thank, especially to Mariano Iannelli from What's Your Game, because he had the vision, to look after or through a complete blank board and understand the concept of the game. So he was part of the success and the all of the things behind Madeira as well.
Interesting.
So I need to underline this aspect because it's very important to the publisher to understand what we designers want to create and want to do. and you need to have this vision. And the guy, fortunately for us and for the board game world, we think he has that vision.
All right, so let's expand on that. So how did the relationship between yourselves and Mariano, as well as I imagine Veronica was in the picture at this time as well, because they are the two behind What's Your Game? Because, and I learned this last year at Spiel, this is not a Portuguese company. This is a German company.
You learned the hard way.
Yes. So so how did that partnership come about?
What do you mean about Madeira?
How did you meet them?
How did we start? Oh, yeah. So
Actually, they had a game about Portugal. It was called Vasco da Gama. It was their first hit or more mainstream success. And as it was Portuguese, and I was a geek at Board Game Geek as another guy, and then I emailed Veronica and said, "Do you want me to translate the rules for Portuguese?" She said yes. I translated the rules. We kept in touch. After that, the next year it was LadyCon, our convention in Portugal that you are attending.
I'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Okay. And they asked us if they could come to Portugal to the convention because they have also a project with Vital, Vinhos.
Yeah.
And then they went here, and you know us. After a few beers, we were best friends.
I hear that.
Actually, we have a very good professional and personal relationship with both.
That helps
as you know.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be welcomed into that circle for a little bit during Spiel. Yes, that is very much true. So, all right. So you started out. So you had this relationship. So you had a built-in publisher before you even had a design. Then
we had. Sorry, I didn't get the question. Sorry.
Okay. I said so. You had already had a built-in relationship with Mariano and Veronica before you even had a design. So you kind of had a leg in, a way in, so to speak.
Yes. Before Essen Spiel, we contacted them to show the prototype, the blank board and everything. And it was our first year with the project. And so
our first year and our first and only presentation of the game. We were so sure that it was going to work that Madeira was presented to one publisher. We had one meeting at Essen.
Yeah.
After one meeting, it was sold, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is so easy." It is not. It is not. Yeah. 4 years later, we were like, "Okay, this is not that easy."
No. Yeah, but you're right. We had already met them before going to Essen, so it was kind of easier to make the meeting.
All right. So you said that this was a 4 or 5 year process from the birth of Madeira all the way to when it actually, came out up here. Obviously, the design process or the development process seems to have shrunk a little bit on the subsequent games. I'm not saying that they're lacking in development. What I'm saying is that time has shortened. Why do you think that has come to be?
It's actually a learning process. It's not really it's in your first game. Madeira was really more complex. It's streamlined in a way. You want to put mechanics that make sense. You want to innovate. You want to make a point and stand out. And that's the first thing. As we design games and understand with the process, going back and forth with the test, the mechanics, we understand that it's really difficult to create a mechanic such as Nippon. That is at the same time simple, but feels fast, and it's different in a worker placement context. So actually, I think designing games a little bit, obviously it's also because of the market, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. Madeira was well received at the beginning, and then he had this huge reputation of it was a beast, it was impossible to play. So it was a little left out. because of that. I'm very happy that people that play Nippon now rediscover Madeira.
Yeah, they are
and
going
go back and play the game.
They are coming back and discover Madeira.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Nippon was kind of a, for lack of a better way to put it, a stepping stone on the complexity scale up to Madeira, you're saying?
No, it's not that. It's just like because Nippon was a more friendly game.
Okay.
Okay, and then people played Nippon, and then they discovered Madeira after. Because we'll design Nippon. Nippon is from Paulo and Nuno, so we go back and what else did they design? They also design Madeira, and then they go back to Madeira and they discover the game. It's like a rediscover of the game.
Gotcha. Well, okay. So on that note, so you started out with Madeira. Obviously, the inspiration there, the island, just and the history behind it. But what inspired you, and what inspires your designs as a whole? Because you go from Madeira, something near and dear to your heart, being home in Portugal, then you go across the pond over to, or I guess across the around the world to Nippon.
Yeah.
You have the Panama Canal and Panamax, and now we have Brazil, which is one of the old colonies of Portugal. So where do you get your inspiration from?
Mainly Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia is our it's the main source.
It's funny because it's true. So the first thing you think about when you're designing a game or creating the process, you go and investigate in the web, of course, and then when you read on Wikipedia or on a site the story, immediately things happen on your head, like it's clicking. This is a mechanic. This can go here. This is a storyline, and to us, at this point, it is always we both agree on the theme immediately. It's like, oh my god, this is a game.
Yeah.
And it's not really the theme or the if we are close or not to the theme. It's actually the story. If the story arrives at a mechanic, a structure, and a storyline that can be told in a board game, we actually go after it.
And the
of
potential
course,
of the story.
Yeah, of course, the subject has to have potential and has to be a little fresh, not more of the same, because markets.
Sure. No, I get that. I get that. So has it in the past now, has it all been all the, hey, does one of you come up with, hey, I was looking online and, got my brain working about this, whether it's Wikipedia, whether it's something, or is it a collaborative effort? Have the ideas come from one or the other specific?
Yeah, usually it's the both. Paulo looks at something, he sends me the link, I go, and vice versa. We work together all day, so we are constantly working on ideas, going back and forward.
Actually, Panamax was an exception.
Sure, go ahead. This was next, so go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, because
this was the transition.
Because Panamax was the theme was inspired. Was picked. Let's just say was picked by Gilles, the third designer.
Right, the secret brother of the group,
Gilles Doré.
Right,
Gilles Doré. Yeah. And so he once one of his partners went to Panama Canal for some reason. For vacations most probably, and he brought some brochures and he had some some prototypes, some very, very, very simple prototype, and he presented it to us just to discuss some ideas, and we immediately saw an economic game that takes place in Panama Canal. So this was not. It was a different approach to the theme.
Obviously, it helps. It helps that we love the theme and went and discovered it, because we did on this side of the pond. We know nothing about. Something about the Panama Canal, but not that much. And we went and studied the subject, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It was
did the research.
It was really started to click. The logs, everything immediately said economic game with movement. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did that partnership come about with Jill and both of you?
We still work together, but he as a publisher and we as designers only. I don't know, maybe because the right project didn't arrive just yet for us to work together again. But we still work as, like I said, him as a publisher, and we work not a lot, but we work for the Portuguese market, mainly for the Portuguese market, with simpler games, more family games, something more easy to sell on the stores, in our Kmart or something like this.
Sure. Okay. So on that note, now, from the outside looking in, from our perspective, our being, just fellow gamers around the world, it seems to us, now I know differently, but it seems to us that the Portuguese market, or at least there are a lot of big time both designers of heavier games, as well as a very active heavy game community there in Portugal. But I'm led to believe that that's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah. First of all, in Portugal, we are always few compared to you. You know that.
Sure.
It's like so. We are not that many, but we are loud, very loud.
We make a lot of noise.
Very passionate.
Yes.
So sometimes the impact on social media and people, they actually think the community is way bigger than it is. It's not big, but it's good. And it's growing, and there are a lot of people that do something within the hobby that really relates in the community. So we are noticed, and thanks to Spiel Portugal or Lady Econ or other clubs we are doing something to make it bigger. So I think we are not, in your point, of course, not the US scale, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked that is because you were just talking about with Gilles that you designed some Portuguese-centric for the Portuguese market games, such as I Love Portugal. And that was recently presented to, and I apologize on the pronunciation, but Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa?
Yes.
The president of Portugal.
Our president.
Your Spanish is perfect.
Hardly. So your Portuguese game, the I Love Portugal, it was presented to him. How did that come about?
It's one of those guys that makes a lot for our board gaming community. Especially, he works with families and with children and everything.
You're talking about Gilles, right?
No. I'm talking about this guy that presented the game to him.
Oh, okay.
To the president. This guy runs a club, and he's from the northern, Portugal, up in the north. So he has a club. He's he's very dedicated. Youth association, and he's very dedicated to the cause. And he saw the opportunity. They received the president went there for some convention of visiting the children and being there with them, and he saw the opportunity and presented them with the game. And then we got very, 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 very proud, as you can imagine.
As you can imagine,
of
course.
Yeah. And it was also a good deal for the board gaming community, not only for us, obviously.
Oh.
Because all of the word is only a few words. You can spread the magic everywhere if it's possible. So, like doing a podcast or presenting.
Absolutely. So you both are designing games that are on the lighter end for the Portuguese market. Is that something that you want to branch out and do on a wider scale, or is that something these aren't the games that you want to play? These are just trying to grow the Portuguese market.
Yeah, we are trying to make a living out of this. So, and in order to do so, we need to sell more games than actually only for our personal tastes. So this is very practical. Being practical is like this. So it's not that we are corrupting ourselves.
No,
you know. So we are still making games that we enjoy to play, and also with my children and everything. So we like those games. Otherwise, we wouldn't make them. But we admit that, yes, it's a kind of game that I will not play on a Friday night. It's a kind of game I will play on a Sunday afternoon, you know? Something.
Sure.
And it's actually very challenging. It's
Yeah.
really
Why
good.
so?
No, that's a great question for Paulo to answer.
First
it's
of all,
really challenging.
the mistake number one, children are not stupid, you know? So this is the first assumption we need to remove from the equation. They are not stupid, and they understand exactly what is a good product to play with or a bad product to play with. So this is very clear for us. I'm a father, so I recognize these kind of things. You
Sure.
know? This is the difficult part. You cannot address something that the kids will not like, or you must sell the thing, but the thing must be good. Otherwise, it doesn't sell. So
Also,
and
also designing simple games with clever mechanics is very difficult.
being clever is the difficult part.
Yeah. Actually, we are friends, personal friends of the great Michael Schacht. And admirers because it's incredible how we can make a game with this 3 rules, and it's brilliant. And actually in the beginning, people like, if you say Zulureto to your audience, but probably they don't like it or don't play it, but everyone sees in it something like Coloreto or something like that. It's so simple. You have cards. You can take them, or you can push your luck. It's just that, the entire structure, but the game works. And if you present the game to a kid, the kid immediately enters the game and understands the game and goes crazy about it. So that's also the challenge we want. We want to take that challenge also to arrive to that.
We want to design a game like Michael Schacht's, you know.
One day
we want to be as good as him, you know. It's our actually it is. It's our main thing,
So
because
do you
this is
mean by
very
that
complex.
Of doing more with less as far as rules. Is that what you're intimating?
First of all, reducing the complexity, but increasing the depthness of the game. It's a challenge in every single design I know. Okay, so every designer, I think, goes for this direction. But designing, I'm not saying that the game should be, you know, as family oriented as Michael Schacht's games. I'm just saying that the goal is to produce something, you know, with maybe the learning curve that Martin Wallace's games have usually, but with the simplicity that Michael Schacht uses on his games.
Or you can say Mike Kurtz did, like Concordia, for instance. It's really simple mechanic, but it has 2 pages of rules, but it has some depth to it. So everyone likes it, and it makes sense because it's. We actually know also Mike Kurtz, but he's our friend. But he knows this. I told him. The brilliant part is that he can design a game like more heavy. The challenge to him is to design that kind of game.
Gotcha. Kind of like I guess to put a different spin on it, kind of like a Winsome game. How there's very simple rules, but a fair amount of depth to them.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So on that note, to kind of follow down that thread, at what point how do you know a game is done? Now, I understand that Mariano and Veronica, you know, when you're designing a game for What's Your Game, or on the Stronghold side of things, you guys also have developers. I understand that. But at what point do you decide, okay, it's done cooking, it's time to get it out there? How do you, because you could forever tink. tinker with it, right?
Yes, you
It's
don't.
very difficult. Yeah,
There's
at a
a
certain point you need to let it go. It's like embracing a child with okay, just go free, my friend, because it's impossible to keep you
there's
forever.
a
So
there's always something I usually say that it's the Portuguese writer or something said that is to write a book when the book is done. The book is done when my publisher says it's done, because it's like a child. It's never done. To a writer, the book is never done. So to a board game designer, the board game is never done. That's for sure. You can always improve. Of course, after a few years or a few months in development, you're tired of the game. You just want to push it to go out. But deep inside, you can do better. Always do better.
there's always room for improvement.
All right. So on that note, why haven't you gone back and either made expansions for the games to, as you say, make them better, since you say it's an ever, you can forever tinker with the game, or to bring out a revision or a second edition of those games? You guys have not done that. Why is that then?
Because we're lazy.
Okay.
No, it's
That's
not.
reason number one.
Reason number one, we're lazy. The reason number two, it's
I don't like
like
expansions. I'm sorry. That's.
I was not going to point fingers, but
I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I admit it's all my fault. I don't like expansion.
No, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just curious because here you are saying that you can always forever mess with a game, and at some point you just got to push it out the door. But are you ever motivated to go back retroactively and tinker with the games?
Yes, there's a lot of room, not improvement, but to change things in not improvement. Let me underline this. It is not an improvement. It's just something a bit different. For Nippon, for example, we have some ideas, some thoughts about this. We have discussed them before. And also we once discussed with our publisher, What's Your Game, to make and release a complex Madeira.
It's actually true.
So,
this is actually true.
Meaning that Madeira is not complex enough. Okay.
That's the point, yeah. Because we are going to, the deeper thoughts of the people that enjoy heavy board games, This is something...
It's just people that like the game and will be completely crazy if it's even more complex. It's not difficult to play, but more complex, because there were ideas that were left behind that could be in the game.
Yeah.
So have you thought about taking those ideas and attaching them to a different theme, making a new game out of whatever those ideas were?
No, as we told you before, it's like, to us, it's really like the new game, the new theme. It's always
new
better, because even if you arrive to a mechanic and after like 1 month you realize that mechanic already was on Madeira in the beginning, that happens by accident, because it's your brain is always going back and trying to figure out stuff. So, but we always start from scratch, trying to create from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Redoing, it's not.
All right. So I want to go back and talk about a conversation that the three of us had along with Mariano and Veronica over dinner the last night of Spiel.
Uh-huh.
And I can't remember which one of you had brought up about how the black cubes in Nippon and how the design in Nippon specifically worked around the fact that they got these black cubes. So do you guys want to expand?
I can tell you. I can tell you the first part. Paulo can tell you the second part. So people in general, when I say people, I'm not saying everyone. Some people on the community say something like, why don't put like huge stuff or different materials, different cubes, all black cubes. Why? It's so heroish, so poor. They want to save money. This is something we heard before. And then there's the truth that Paul is going to tell you now.
The truth was, we were to produce a game to Essen, you need to order the wooden bits earlier than, for example, having the graphics ready for printing. So there's the schedule is a bit more tighter than with the printing cardboard. With the printing cardboard. So we needed to decide. We knew the game was going in that direction. It was to be like this, but we didn't know exactly how many pieces of each kind we needed, and so at a certain point,
if we were going to the different goods or the same goods,
even different goods, because we had two more goods to add into the game that we decided later to remove. So this was, and
the solution was
we have all black cubes. We ordered like 90 or 80, I don't remember, that for each game. So this is why you have plenty of black cubes and even more than needed to play the game. This is the truth, the basic reason. This is why. So we also wanted the cool bits, but sometimes reality overpasses this kind of thing.
Sure. So
going back to
for the folks watching and listening at home, just to unpack this a little bit, you guys design and develop up into literally the midnight hour of, okay, this is the cutoff time. This has to go for printing or else it's not going to be ready for Essen. So you guys are messing and tweaking with the game up until the very last second. And so what you're saying, just to kind of make sure I'm on the same page, you and by you I mean what your game had ordered all the wooden components, and then they got these black cubes, and then you guys made that work for maybe
No, it was not like it's like you. It was like this before, It didn't work like this because of the cubes. It worked.
Got it. Right.
We got the cubes because there was no certainty on the amounts of goods we needed for each kind of good, and also we had two more goods that we were testing before, and we didn't yet we didn't decide in time if we were going to use them or not, so we decided to go all black.
Aha. Okay, now I understand.
So
got it.
At a certain point, we were testing the game and thinking, maybe we can do this mechanic, and then we think, no, but you already have the black cube, so you cannot do this.
Gotcha.
It actually happened once.
All right, so on that note, then, when you're designing, developing, tweaking, and letting the game organically grow up until it's published, are there any either self-constraints or publisher constraints that they put on you or that you put on yourself that limit the scope of a game?
What do you mean by constraints?
Okay.
Production.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
It could be production-wise. Like, oh wow,
Yes.
we have this idea
Yes.
of this huge, massive Civ game. Maybe I'm just indulge me to where there's all these dudes on a map type game, and they're like, yeah, that's going to be too expensive.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. We need you to trim this down. Is there anything like that you take into consideration when designing a game?
Yes. Not in the beginning.
Not in the
first
yes.
game, no. Of course not. But as you design your first game, you talk with the people, you design the second, and then you understand immediately the amount of cards you can and cannot do, because it's more if you do this amount of cards, it's one price. If you do this, it's the same price. But if you do this, it's triple. So that small things we already know.
Yeah, we learned a lot we learned a lot working with Gilles, because Gilles is also as a designer of the game Panamax, he was also the publisher, so he was always cutting, like no, we cannot have so the example of the cards it's a good example, like Nuno was saying, because if you have, I don't remember, like 40 cards is the same price as 10 cards, but if you have 41 cards, then you need another sheet,
right.
So it's the double price. So you have 40, 80, 120, something like this. I don't remember exactly the numbers, but it's something like this. And Gilles taught us a bit about this kind of stuff. So we try now. We think a bit more on reducing the material. And
obviously, not just that, all the components. Now we do the prototypes not with a blank board as Madeira, but with a more clear graphic,
sure.
You
tease
doable
us with pictures
version
all the time. We see it on Twitter and Facebook. Trust me, I know.
But it also works for us. It has to have cool graphics in order for your brain to work and to test it. If it's not decent enough, some designers just do blank sheets with black and whites, and I cannot work like that.
Oh, we cannot work on that. No, it's kind of complicated to work on this. We need the.
You have to have that visual feedback from the board and from the components themselves.
Also from the public. It's very cool when you post on the social media when we can see the reactions. It's important also.
So speaking of the component, so you take that into consideration now when designing, or at least somewhere along the process, maybe not early on, but somewhere along the process. Is there anything in your ideas as far as, you know what, wouldn't it be nice if we had this game, but maybe it's just not practical? Like, have you ever, because I know especially Paulo, he enjoys war games, he enjoys some of the bigger Martin Wallace games and all that. Is there anything that the limitations of what is feasible monetarily, financially, as far as a published game, is there anything out there that you want to make that is I'm struggling trying to find the right words here, but artificially constrained?
Edward, do you want to make the transition to Brazil now or later?
Sure, we can. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
we can?
Why not?
Okay. So Paulo has something to say. Exactly on your notes, and actually we didn't talk about this at all. We didn't prepare the interview like American talk shows.
Yeah. No, we didn't. Yeah, what do you want me to say? I'm sorry, I was not listening. It was something really weird happening here. I was listening to something else. I don't know what the hell are you talking about.
Listening at home, this really is how they are. It's like trying to hurt cats. It really is.
I was like starting to curse now, but I can't because this is a wide audience. So I'm sorry. I didn't listen. I'm sorry. Come again.
Do again the transition. The transition was brilliant and the question was amazing. You have to listen to the question.
Thank you, Nuno. All right.
I have to check on the podcast.
All right. So here, let's scrap that. Let's try this again.
Yeah. Sorry, Edward. Sorry.
So, okay. Before we go into Brazil, how do you feel like you've grown as designers?
Okay.
Oh, this is a huge question.
170.
It's kind of, like we said before, maybe the most important part for us was this, understanding how to simplify a concept, understanding how to ignore all of the stuff that is around the game that doesn't matter, and arrive to something more faster than before.
Let me interrupt you, Paul. Just an example, like you have a mechanic that is not working. You have two choices. You can try to fix it, adding something to the mechanic to work. So you're designing the game and this doesn't work, and now I'm doing this to fix this. And that's the beginning of the process. It was like this. Now you understand that it's not that way it should be. It should be that if this is not working, I should not add stuff to fix it. I should drop it and then try to get something else here, or fix this first. It's really important to do, not to add stuff just to fix the game. And sometimes in the beginning we did that a lot, as designers. I admit that, but you understand after a few years in the doing this and working with publishers and developers. There are two in the chat I see. So Mariano that develops all games, also Pauline Cao
that work
with Panamax with us. That also helped us growing to grow as designers.
And I think that's something that a lot of want to be or would be designers out there can really learn from that. I think that is a really, really important point that you just brought. Don't try and fit a round peg into a square hole by adding more. If it doesn't fit, find a better way.
Doesn't fit. You go back and do something else. Yeah.
I think that's
and
awesome.
for designer, that's really difficult in the beginning because it's your baby, you know. You want that to work. You thought about that immensely. You're like, this has to work. Yeah. Then you go and test it, and it doesn't work. And you're killing yourself inside.
You know, and most of the times you are struggling a lot for that to work because it's thematic, you know? Yeah. And because it's thematic and you really want the people to feel that in the game, you know, and I remember that we had a lot of troubles. I don't remember exactly why, but we had lots of trouble with implementing the 3 eras in Madeira.
Okay.
Wheat, sugar, and wine.
Right.
But this was really important for us, and not only us designers, but also for Mariano and Veronica as developers, because this is a very important aspect of the story of the history of the island. It shows
the evolution of the island itself, right?
Yes, and we had lots of problems to implement this structure that now works. For us, it works really well, but this gave us a lot of headaches, and we worked a lot to solve this issue, because, you know, sometimes, like Nuno said at the beginning, it's just not. It's like you can have luck. I mean, you can have just the best idea ever, but you need to be working to have these ideas, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't come up. They simply don't come up, and sometimes they do. So you just need a bit of luck mixed with a lot of work, obviously.
That's really interesting, because I would have thought that from the game player side, specifically talking about the changing of the eras in Madeira, that it seems natural. Like, yeah, obviously this is the ideal way to implement it the way you did, but you're saying that was a massive hurdle that you guys had to overcome.
It was because it was overcomplicated at the beginning. We had lots of issues with changing the fields from wheat to sugar at first, and then from sugar to wine, and then we solved the problem with, you know, like
probably nowadays it would be as acceptable, the kind of design it was. At that point, Madeira was like one era was the wheat. The next era was exactly the same length as this era, and it was the sugar and then the wine. So the game would lasted like almost 5 hours. So we didn't want such a huge game. For instance, I remember now Colonies. It's a good game, and it can only be accepted now. At that time, I believe
back then
players were there. Oh, you understand the point?
Oh, totally. So, you're saying that a game like the Colonist now, because the heavier game has a wider and more acceptable audience, back then would not have flown, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because that's why Martin Wallace is a hero for us. It's kind of a hero, because back then there was nothing but Martin Wallace's games for, you know, more. I mean, there was the Splotter guys that always make interesting and kind of heavy games.
Right.
But Martin Wallace was producing heavy games every year. I mean, not heavy games, like one heavy game each year before working more widely with more titles each year. And he was alone. Not alone. You know what I mean. Not alone.
I gotcha. Sure.
So, and Vital obviously opened the thing for not only for us but also for other designers, because Venus was a really successful game. It was really important, and that's obviously why you also have such a an idea about the Portuguese market and about
Pressure.
the Portuguese designing team. I mean, because of Vital as well, because he obviously.
I mean, it's a country full of them. It seems like, right? Between the two of
Yeah.
you have Jill, you have Vital, who
You're not-
actually is here in the chat with
We are
us.
not
That's
stopping.
awesome.
Yeah, we are not stopping.
Vital is here?
Yeah, he's here. So
Oh,
okay,
he's here.
so
Hello, Vitor.
He's here.
all right. So hey, on that note, when are we going to see a super group? When are we going to see a massive, a great design with the 3 or 4 of you get together?
You know how much a designer weighs the amount of money he gets? It's like 2%. If you divide 2% for 2 guys, you get 1%.
Now he looks like a mob
like
guy, 2%, the 2% and the 3%, you need it. You just need the
So in other words, we need to find a publisher just willing to take it on the chin, and then we can get you guys to get together. Okay.
This was done once.
Here's a project.
There's this game Stone Age, if you remember. It was it was designed by several designers, if you remember. Stone Age.
Hey, it looks like in chat, Pauline Cow, you have your developer in there. Tony Boydell says he's going to bring the beer. Hey, sounds like
it's happening. So
it's happening now. It's happening. So
all right. So I understand that you both are designing full time, and this is a profession for you. But even so, inside, who is it that you're designing games for? Is it designing for yourself? Is it for someone in particular, or some more ethereal just thing? Who do you design
Edward, that's a brilliant question. Congratulations.
Nuno,
It
Nuno, glory to Rome. All right, so who do you design for?
So, for us,
I think we designed.
No, we started designing for us. It's a selfish thing. It's like you want to prove yourself and others that you can do it. But it's now and middle in the process, you understand that that's completely impossible. So now we're designing for everyone, for out there. So even if people seem to like our games, when you receive a little critic or some bad review, it still hurts us. I'm honest with it. It's really like a designer, as myself, who always reads Board Game Geek, everything on Board Game Geek. It's like if someone writes something I don't like, I'm like crying inside. Why?
Yeah. To be honest, it's the 3 things you said.
Yeah.
I designed personally for myself, but then again, I never played my games after they are released, so I don't know if I'm actually designing for myself because I never play them again. I need space and time, So maybe Madeira I played 2 or 3 times after being published.
So why? Are you just tired of it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, really? Obviously. We need distance from the game for a while. When I say a while, it's a huge while. And for example,
listen to your podcasts, Edward.
Nippon.
Sorry to be interviewing you again.
Nippon. Sorry, Nippon. For example, I was like 1 year maybe, or something like this, without playing it. And then with Veronica and Mariano and Nuno, we played again with 4. Maybe after 1 year, it's been published. The game is amazing. It was so good. It was so fun. We had a blast.
Because everyone has exactly the same level in the game, and it's like you're reminding yourself of, oh, this is here because of this. But they also know this. So it was you should have been.
I never played the game again after that particular play. And I want to repeat it again, but maybe with the 4 of us again, because it's really, really fun. Because we know all the intricate things
Sure,
that.
well, I would hope so, right?
Sometimes.
So how about you, Nuno? Now, Paulo says he burns out on the games, but what about you?
I also, and we, as you know, we have a gaming group. We organize a convention. We design games. So we have the Jogo do Ano award, just like the Golden Elephant. So we try to play all the games of a year. So you have to play a lot of different games many times. So it's actually a matter of time between playtesting, playing other games, playing again other games. There's never enough time to do it. Of course, if someone asks, can you teach me the game and play with us? I will do it, and I would love to do it. But it usually doesn't happen in our gaming group.
Okay. Yes. All right. So are there any, now going back to what we were talking about, how you start designing games and what the inspiration is, that it's a theme or a idea. Is there any specific game mechanism out there or a specific theme that you're chomping at the bit to design a game around that you just haven't yet?
You were saying, I'm sorry, you were asking if there's a particular mechanic that we would like to,
or theme
that we would like to redo, or something.
No, that you would like to design around.
Okay. I can give you the example. Brass, it's my favorite game of all time. Paulo also with Imperial, I believe, from my cats. And Nippon was much started from that. It's like Industrial Revolution theme, a game we like, the feeling, the rushness,
the fast-paced mechanic.
Yes, fast-paced mechanic.
Okay.
We wanted to bring that kind of context, the Industrial Revolution, to a different setting with a modern look. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you did that, but that was
the inspiration for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
course,
is there? So on that note, and I noticed that this is a both of those games seem to be very popular with significant Portuguese designers, because Vital also is a big fan of Brass and Imperial as well.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you would like to? Or is there any other game out there that inspires you in a similar way other than those two games?
I can say in Paulo's behalf, 18xx games, of course. He loves them, and many mechanics and many stuff we create starts from that, for the passion for 18xx games, and to grab something from there and
I think we really enjoy economic games. So.
Yeah. Also, for instance, in my end, D-Marker, it's a brilliant game.
Fantastic game.
It's a game that cannot be done today because
now it's a bit dated, but still is a very, very good game.
So good. I would love to play more games from that brilliant guy, whose name I cannot pronounce. Karl-Heinz Schmiel. Is that it?
Hey, your German's as good as my Spanish.
Yeah, I was about to say exactly the same thing. Thank you, Edward. Yeah.
It's Paul.
All right, so this is a personal question for me that I have wondered, honestly, since Panamax came out. I think the mechanic of the pushing of the ships in Panamax is just absolutely brilliant. How did that specific one come about? Where'd that come from?
The pushing. I need to say that it was for necessity, for game's sake. Yeah. So we needed the game not to be stuck for a number of reasons that you understand if you play the game. So if it doesn't get stuck, you need something like the bumping.
Right.
The bumping thing, and also the physical aspect of the slots with the number of the force, the space,
were actually
the locks.
Two ideas on the design. It was, as I remember, first, if a boat or a ship arrive at the lock and stay there, it was blocking the other. So this was not working. So we went to a different aspect that was you could join the same
Same
ship,
lock,
Right.
and
you have
then
the space.
the water would go down and then up. So you had to lose a little bit of time there. So both didn't work because one was if a player wanted, he could block the game. The other one was too time consuming. Like I enter here and now I wait a turn, go down in the water. It was more thematic, but it broke the game, the speed of the game.
It dragged the game.
With our testing and our developing team, Steve Rogers and Paul Incao, Stronghold Games, and of course Gilles and Mesa Board Games, we arrived to the conclusion that maybe you just push it.
Yeah.
And in playtest it works marvelously. So
It really
we
has.
knew
I think that's one of the most brilliant single mechanisms that you guys have come up with. I think that is really, truly
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
so let's switch gears. Brazil. Tell me about it, because I know I'm not the only one that's excited for the game, so tell us about it.
Yeah. Brazil is kind of almost done. Actually, almost done. We
So
can say
kind
it's
of
almost
done or almost done?
Almost
you
done.
know it's never done.
It's never done, so it's never done.
It's solidly tested, but it's not done.
Well,
of
when I
course.
saw you guys talking about it online and you're like, oh, we're going to have this ready ahead of time. And I said, no, I know how you guys work. No chance. It's going to go to the very end.
No, it's almost done. But we have been working on the game, like 2 years now, and the game is almost done. We are still making some tests, obviously, and we think that it will be a perfect game. So good.
So describe Brazil for those at home.
So, you want to, Paul?
Yeah,
No?
Brazil. No, you can go.
Okay. So first the theme. We are in Brazil. So it's a Portuguese colony at the time.
Right.
So again, Portugal. And you have this huge land full of wealth. And they discover gold and a lot of gems in the interior part of Brazil. So there's actually something that happened closely to the U.S. history, the gold rush. Okay, so people started going all the way in the country to get those precious goods. Of course, the King of Portugal was the owner of the goods, so he wanted everything to himself. And the people of Brazil were not really happy with that. So the theme of the game and the conflicts of the game are really in this aspect. It's like you go to get something, and then the king actually wants it for him. In a way, you want to give it to him, the resources, but you feel like there's something, and then Brazil happens. So hopefully this is the flow of the game. The
At a certain point, you want to be closest to the king, and after a while, you need to be more, independent in a way. You need to work more for the independent side. So it's kind of a political
pivot point in the game.
A pivot. Yeah, this word always reminds me of Friends. Yeah, I don't know why. So. And also, there's the political aspect. This is what I want to underline here. It's like at a certain point, you are closest to the king. The other way around, you are closest to the liberals. This is mid to end of the 18th century. Okay?
All right.
So this is where the time, the span.
Mechanically, I cannot describe it to you. I'm still struggling to make... Really, this on Board Game Geek, the entry of the game still has some mechanics because the mechanic we have, I think, is not there. But someone will tell me.
But the game's close.
It is, but
it is.
The mechanic itself, it's not worker placement. It's not dice. It's not. I cannot find the mechanic on Board Game Geek.
We think it's a new mechanic. Basically, what Nuno is trying to say is that we think it's
I was
new
not going to
mechanic.
say that.
But that's obviously not. There are some. It's like saying that Nippon is a worker placement. It is not. It is
Understood.
a worker displacement, but it is a worker placement. So it's like it's a mix.
A hybrid
Uh,
mechanism.
It's a hybrid. Yeah, this will probably remind you of something, but for us, it's a new mechanic.
Okay. All right. So what was the hardest part? I know you're still tweaking here in the as we get closer and closer to Spiel, but what was the single hardest aspect of designing Brazil?
We designed the hardest part was transforming the game, which was supposed to be Vila Rica, which is the first name that we had previously.
I remember seeing the picture, right?
It was a very it was a small part of Brazil, and then we decided with the publisher to make it more epic, to make it bigger, turn it into Brazil, and this was the difficult part. We needed to have more elements into the game.
And it was really cool because What's Your Game actually agreed with us in making the game epic. So, Mariano and Veronica and Paulo and me working together to get the stuff even bigger. So let's make this huge and epic. At a certain point, that was really a problem because there were ideas raining from everywhere.
That's awesome.
Components and stuff. Yeah. Amazing.
And this was the hard part because we needed to translate this small portion of the game into an epic game, a bigger game. And then after we have all of the mess inside, we need to redo and reduce everything.
So normally you have a big game and you would pull pieces off to kind of shrink it down. But here you did the opposite and then had to then do that again.
That's why it was complicated for us, because we are not used to go small to big and then to small again.
Right.
Not small, smaller, but it was difficult for us to do this. Yeah.
What do you think you've learned the most in this process then of taking it in a different direction than what you're used to?
I'm still getting there. I don't know what I've learned from the process, honestly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can have this conversation. Maybe I don't know 6 months from now, and then I can tell you what I
on your
learned.
4th anniversary. We'll have this discussion.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is? I don't want to ask you which is your favorite game that you guys have designed, because I imagine it's going to be I Love Portugal. But is there a specific mechanic in your games that you're like, I'm really proud of that. I think we nailed this, whatever this is?
That's a very hard question to answer.
Well, it's not all going to be softballs, fellas.
Yeah.
That was not what we agreed.
I think Nippon. I think, I didn't get that question here before. I have my papers here. I missed that. I think the mechanic I enjoy the most from all of our games is Nippon, the worker displacement, let's just say.
Okay.
And this is because it really makes the game fast-paced and with some depth into it, with a very, very, very simple and easy explanation. So you always remove a meeple and you place it here and you perform the action. This is very, very, very straightforward, very simple, but still very dense. So this is probably and reflects the industrial revolution aspect that Nuno was saying before. It's kind of a fast-paced game that the mechanic helps with the theme. You feel it fast.
All right. How about you, Nuno?
That's it.
Me. So I'm going to say my favorite game. I believe I told you in the podcast before, because it's always the last one, for sure. Because the last one is always happening because of a learning process. You're always evolving as a designer. You're always making new discoveries. You always. So if you ask me what's my best game, I will always tell you. Hopefully, hopefully, if I'm not become a sellout, that is our latest one. Okay.
Yeah.
So the mechanics, I cannot say. It's like, which son do you like the most?
Fair enough.
I like them all. I like the dice in Panamax, the dice drafting mechanic, the picking up of the dice that are inside the boats. I like the 1, 2, 3 and the dice aspect of Madeira, the regions. The number 3 is everywhere in the game. The dice, the regions, the captaincies, the cities, everything is related to the 3. I also like in Nippon what Paulo just said. So,
okay,
yeah, a lot of.
All right, so let's kind of take a variation of that. As a designer, individually, what are you most proud of?
Madeira. Yeah. It was the most difficult one so far. It was the first one. It is the one I think we are more proud of because it really was a pain in the ass. Sorry for the French. It really was. But it was very, very cool to go to Essen the next year or a couple of years after, I don't remember. And we were introduced like the Madeira designers. And people were like, oh, you made Madeira. And we were like, our egos were like, whew.
And then we realized there were 5 people.
Yeah, there were actually 7 people telling us this. But this was very rewarding. It was something like made us really, really proud of it was an achievement to make that game specifically, Madeira. That's what I feel about Madeira.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's actually true. It's not just because we're talking. One of my proudest moments was the ceremony and the dinner of Heavy Cardboard meeting in Essen, where you presented us the award for Madeira. It was one of the first awards ever.
Come on, you're buttering up now. Come on,
I am not.
I am not. You are already live being interviewed.
17.
Come on, really?
No, like an old married couple.
Yeah, we get that a lot, actually. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. No, but it's true because everyone was there. It was not just because of you, because you are just a normal guy, But the designers, the public, everyone was there. The passion with it was really a nice sensation, and I told you it was one of our proudest and biggest moments in Essen ever. And I told you this then, and I'm telling you this publicly now because it's actually true.
Well, I appreciate it. It was arguably the most humbling and just speechless. Like I got choked up seeing that. I mean it was unbelievable. So yeah, I had the same reaction. So
it was amazing. It was amazing. Really, really, really. I'm very much looking forward for this year's Fitzpatrick meeting again.
Well, I am as well, fellas. Very much so.
Maybe you need to find a bigger place. I don't know because you are.
I don't know that there is one, but yeah, we'll cross that bridge. I do fear for how many we're gonna have there today or this year, but it's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of things. All right, before we start going into the questions that folks have asked. All right. So you guys had mentioned briefly the, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, the Jogo de Ono, which is the award for Portugal, as well as Lyricon. Go ahead, talk about those for a minute.
Lyricon?
Yep.
Jogo do Ano. Jogo do Ano is kind of a prize, an award, exactly, or kind of like the Golden Elephant
the
Award.
Golden Elephant was actually kind of inspired by that, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. We try to recognize the heavier games because they are, put aside
a lot. There's a niche behind the Spiel des Jahres and the Kenner Spiel des Jahres. There are a lot of geeks that say, but it's a little bit above or even above.
As far as like weight of game, right.
completely.
Yeah.
So it's an award that has already many years now. A lot of winners. Martin Wallace,
Yes.
Mike Gertz, Michael Schatz, a lot of
And
designers.
This always brings us to Lady Econ because both things are really connected. We always try to bring new designers here. At first, we started with Mark Gertz, and then we invited other people to come here. And this also related to Jogo do Ano Award because we like to receive the winner of the previous year at the Lady Econ convention. Lady Econ is a smallish convention. Now it's not that small. We have like 400 attendees in a hotel for 3 days. And this year, next March 2018. So first of all, we changed dates. It's not in January anymore. It's in March, early March. The weather is better. And it's now 4 days. So from Thursday to Sunday. And it's for 400 attendees, and you have an hotel. You know the drill. You play whatever you want to play. You eat whatever you want to eat. It's mostly about conversation and getting to know people, getting to know the designers, the publishers. So it's really, really fun.
Well, we'll find out firsthand because we had an agreement from Essen last year that if we come to Lyricon in 2018, you guys have to come to HeavyCon 2018.
Denver, May. Okay.
So
Denver in May.
Hey, we're going to follow our end of the deal. That means you guys have to come. Hey, you're both honorable men, so I know you'll honor it.
I mean,
honorable.
What do you mean?
No, okay.
Yeah.
It's something we really would like to do. Go to the US. And what better way to know the US that with friends? So there's something we would like to do. If we, for any chance, don't do it, it's for a bigger thing, of course.
Yeah. A bigger thing?
We want to do
a bigger thing.
Oh, no, a bigger thing than you.
There's no bigger thing than you.
All right, and that's going to wrap it up, folks. All right. Yeah. So, all right, I got one more thing, but I'll save it to the end. All right. So let's go to some of the questions here. All right. So
before the questions.
Oh, go ahead. Sure.
Remember the transition to Brazil?
Uh-huh.
Paulo wants to say something.
Go ahead, Paulo.
I have to say something. We have a scoop for you. It's not really a
scoop. Then please, by all means.
No, it's kind of something that probably people are not going to like a lot because Brazil is going to Kickstarter. It's not going to Essen.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
It was.
Okay.
It was.
So what brought
but
that
this
about,
is not.
then?
This is not a sad story. I am okay. We are happy. This is not a sad story. This is because of the growing of the game. So we decided, and with the publishers. When I say we, it's together with the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Decided.
What's your game? Yeah.
What's your game?
Right.
Because it makes a lot more sense. Because the game now is an epic game. It's a bigger game, and we. With the publisher decided to go Kickstarter. Why? Because we want to have better components, better production of the game. It's not related to anything else. It's only related to having better and bigger, and it's a new approach. It's also the first time
we're doing it.
He's doing the Kickstarter. We are very proud to do it with them. Yeah. It's the first time. It's never easy, these things, because Kickstarter is kind of a difficult thing to manage.
Sure.
But we think we have a very, very good product here, and they also believe in the game a lot. That's why they want to do it with us and with that game specifically. So the game is going to be epic, and we promise again, and the publishers, that the price is going to be very reasonable. It's not, because sometimes there are Kickstarters that go over the top. in
Sure,
price matter.
No, I get what you're saying. Sure, it's not going to be a bloated
It's not that.
thing.
It's
Right,
just
I
like
understand.
the usual production of What's Your Game games. It's good, it's very
Right,
good
sure.
actually. But this game needs better components and better, more
Remember
juicy things.
when you asked before, when I talked to you about the transition, about the going back and forward with the Epic game and
Right.
what was the challenges, the transition was really this. We were saving it for the end, but it was really this, because the game arrived to a point where the constraints of the pricing, the number of cards, the number of cubes would probably make a worse game than the game we have now.
Okay.
And we talked with the What's Your Game, and they luckily for us they went with it. So now that's pushed aside, and we could make the design as we wanted to.
So
answering your question
you weren't
before.
constrained. So you just
Completely.
you made the game that you felt this needed to be, and it just got bigger than what they felt comfortable doing. Hence Kickstarter.
Yes.
Completely.
Yes.
That's exciting.
That was the
And
transition.
And kudos to both you and Mariano and Veronica over at What's Your Game for
I
knowing
think
that,
it's a very
right.
Thank you. It's a very important step for them as publishers as well.
Also,
mainly for them, and they are putting their hearts out for this project, and we are very grateful that they believe in us. So for us, it's very,
that's
very,
exciting.
very, very exciting. That's why I
we know
said
this-
it was not a bad.
we know
That's
this
why I
a
said-
very, very long time ago. We made this goal for us, go Kickstarter. We didn't tell, it was really not easy not telling anyone when they keep asking, when is the date? Tell me more.
So that's why you were being coy. All right.
Mhm.
All
And
right. So now this brings the biggest question. Now I know Mariano's in chat, and if you guys don't know the answer, hopefully he does. But the $1 million question: when?
Sorry, Mariano
Well,
just wrote
sorry,
that
Mariano
I'm renouncing to my fee.
Yeah, Nuno is renouncing to his fees to keep the price reasonable. Paulo didn't agree. I didn't actually. I didn't agree. So it will be not 100% reasonable.
All right. No,
It will be
seriously.
a bit more.
So when are we looking forward to hit Kickstarter then?
There's no specific date yet, but it will this year for sure.
Okay, all right.
This year, through 2017. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so which means it's probably going to be released in maybe second quarter. This is me just guessing, but second quarter 2018 when it actually hits the.
Probably. We don't want to make.
No. I understand. I'm not. If somebody put
Okay.
a gun to your head and say when. I
Yeah,
understand. I
maybe
got you.
second quarter makes sense.
Okay.
We think also there's an advantage in all of this. The Brazilian players, the Brazilian buyers can get all the stuff directly from Kickstarter, and What's Your Game is very, very professional in delivering all of their games to the Brazil. To the country, Brazil. I'm saying this because I know that I have several Brazilian friends, and they usually have lots of problems with the
packaging.
the mailing. Yeah,
I've heard horror stories. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
And
that's
I think
really,
this time
really cool. And for
it's
those,
covered.
And for those that are going to be listening to the podcast after the fact, Mariano's in chat and he says, "Whenever I finish the graphics, so it's ready when it's ready."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, cool. That's really exciting, guys, and I appreciate you guys breaking the news here. So that should be. That should be exciting.
We were waiting for you to ask us to make it to have this interview, and we started to think it doesn't like us. Why doesn't it like us? He interviews everyone. He does everything, and he doesn't interview us.
You can't say that anymore. You know you were my first love, Nuno.
Come on, I'm crying.
Now
Amanda's listening. Come on.
Oh yeah, she's in there definitely.
She knows.
Oh yeah, she does.
Oh.
Well, you're a handsome man,
Okay.
Nuno. Come on, right? All right, moving on. So, All right, so here we go. So some of these are going to be serious, some of these are not, obviously. So the first question Jeff asks, Nuno, is your middle name really Bizarro?
That's a question I get a lot.
Yep.
To me, it makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no sense because why would I put a middle name without the? But yes, yeah, it is. It is actually something that stick with me from the years in school. Like imagine being called Bizarro. So in Portuguese, Bizarro also means bizarre.
It's the same.
So I'm Nuno, Bizarro, Sentieiro. So both Sentieiro and Bizarro are just crying out loud to be make fun of. So
so now you embrace
that's why Now I'm really proud of my Bizarro heritage.
Right.
By the way, both of my children have the name as well. So
wow, look at that.
Because of the sister, So they both my children,
No,
the name sticks. No, I'm not going there. Sorry, no. I don't go there. No, sorry.
All right. So the most important question of the entire discussion here. Who has the golden elephant? Who keeps it?
Me at my place. Yeah. But this is actually where we work at my place. So he can see the elephant every day if he wants to.
You know that sounded really dirty.
No, I know. It was not on purpose. Honestly.
Okay. No, it's on Paulo's home because my sister wanted it there. So.
All right, fair enough. All right, he's older,
actually,
so he wins. All right.
I'm hoping that when we win the next one for Brazil, I can stay with that one in my house.
Okay, noted. Let me write that down. Next one goes to Nuno. Okay, got it. All right. All right, Paul.
By the way,
Sure.
I love that award. Okay,
it's
in my living room. It is in my living room. I can see it every day.
Paulo at the piano. It would be on top of the piano.
Yeah, I'm being honest. Come on.
I appreciate it. Thank you. No, I'm glad that you guys treasure it. That means a lot. Thank you.
We do.
Also, it would not be fair to not say this to our Romanian friends that were the first ones to give us an award. It's next to the golden elephant. So both of them are really important to us. So people that give awards, we really like awards.
Yeah. Keep them coming.
Did I mention it's like herding cats sometimes, especially with Nuno? All right. So you're one of your developers, Paul Incow. He asks, do each of you have a different skill set and roles when it comes to the design process?
No, we both do the same things, I think. Yeah.
Sometimes it's really a back and forward thing. Sometimes Paulo has the numbers and I do something else. Sometimes it's me that do the numbers and Paulo does something else. But
usually I'm the guy that writes things on paper. I write stuff. I'm more organized. than he is.
Older.
I'm not surprised at all at that.
I don't know.
Actually, I think it's really if the idea comes from one of us, maybe it has more to say about something than the other in the beginning. But as we develop the game, it's always like a two-way process, always doing everything together.
Okay. All right. Kabuki Kid asks, have you ever... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You have something else?
Just to say thank you to Paul Incow because it was really great working with him. Stronghold has a really good developing team.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
All right. Yeah, Paul's good people, and actually he keeps ducking me for an interview that's going to stop here real soon at Origins. He just doesn't know it yet. All right, so Kabuki Kid asks, have you ever abandoned a design that you were working on, or have you managed to complete everything that you started?
Yes.
Yes, what?
No, So yes, we abandon some designs. But it's not abandoning. It's like when you commit to an idea, you go with it, and we make the game and stick with the plan. But there's always ideas. We are developing Brazil for a couple of years now, but there are a lot of ideas coming, arriving. We are trying something else, mechanics and stuff like that we put aside to finish and develop the current game as it should be.
They are on hold. They are
abandoned. More like
they're abandoned. Yeah, they're on hold. Just on hold.
All right. So, hold on, I lost it. Sorry. There we go. Any interest in ever like doing a dudes on a map or dungeon crawl or anything completely out of your quote unquote wheelhouse?
The first one was
sorry. The first one was
dudes on a map, like area control.
Figures.
Yeah. Exactly.
Area control is Nippon. No, it's not. It's some dudes on a map. It's kind of miniatures, maybe something like this.
Exactly that. Yes.
Okay. No, honestly, no. It's not a plan. It's not even in my closest dreams.
Always not the fantasy guy. I am not also, but for instance, there's an example, the Scythe, the game.
Scythe, yeah.
Has the miniatures and stuff like that, but the game is an Euro game, and it's something I believe we both like to play because it's well produced. It has pieces and beautiful pieces on the map, but the core mechanic is not.
I'm a theme sucker, and there are some stuff I don't like to play because of that. But I play. I just don't like to play. But please don't hate me because of this.
No. Hey, play what you dig, right? You enjoy what you enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I like every game.
Disclosure. I have never watched a single Star Wars movie. So this is something about me that you didn't know.
Wow. All right.
What did you say?
I just said I have never watched a single Star Wars movie. So that's me.
No, that's going to help selling the games. Thank you for sharing the games.
You know me.
Do either of you guys ever play solo games?
No.
I played Agricola a couple of times.
Okay.
Agricola in the beginning when I played Agricola alone. Yeah. A couple of times.
We have the Game of the Year award and we have the gaming group. So usually when we have our games, it's like 4, 5, 3. So the count of players never goes that way. And when we're not playing for the Jogo do Ano or with friends, we're developing games. So in a way, we're always playing in 2 players.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? When you're designing games, are you solely designing one game, or is it like you do a little bit here, then go off to work on another idea, or is it strictly we're working on Brazil and that's it until it's done?
Depends on the size of the project. In Brazil, for example, we work only with Brazil, not anything else. Full time. If we work on something else, it would be something really, really, really small. Something for the Portuguese market, really small. Something like Reis de Portugal. It's a very small game that we have posted. Kings of Portugal, yeah. But no, with this kind of project like Brazil or with Nippon as well, Madeira as well, Panamax, it was a solo work, which is not financially doesn't help, but mentally we need the time.
There are 2 answers to that. There's the one Paulo gave you, that it's actually completely true. But there's also you never stop designing. Even if you're working on a game, you're always designing other games or other mechanics, or you're always thinking about stuff. And even if you don't work on them really hard and stop and do a full day of that, just by arriving in the morning at Paulo's house and saying, "Oh, look, I saw this theme or this mechanic," and he says to me the same. We talk a little bit, but then we go back to the project. That is the main game.
I think that's really interesting to hear about. I appreciate it, fellas. All right, one last serious question, and then one last off the wall, and then we'll wrap it up. So, now I know you. Let me try this again. Publishers don't pressure you guys to make a certain game or a certain player count. However, because I realize that it's a collaborative effort, whether it's with Mariano and Veronica or whether it's with Pauline Cal, etc. Do you ever try to design a game with a specific player count in mind, or is it just the game is the game and it plays however many the game plays?
In the beginning, yes, we designed the game. Basically, was the game.
Okay.
And after the game was designed, we started with the 4 players. Of course, it's always the base.
Always.
And then
the count is always 4.
And then as we were 2 and tested it a lot with 2, it also worked really well with 2. We had that in mind. But in the beginning, it would not. But now, with Nippon and with Brazil, every single time we are introducing a mechanic or a step in the game, we're thinking about the player count, about how it plays in 2, how it plays in 3, how it plays in 4. And there's something that even if you don't want to think about that in the moment, you think about it. And now we find that almost instinctively we were designing for 2, 3, and 4 players.
Okay. All right.
All
right.
And actually, there's no specific request from any of our publishers
I
before.
assumed as much, right?
No. To work on a 5-player game or work on. There are some. If you're going to sell a game, don't. Yeah.
Paulo, go ahead.
Yeah, there are some specific publishers that don't, for example, don't publish 2-player games, and this is true. We learned this before. We presented the game, a prototype for to a publisher. It's a 2-player game, a very small 2-player game, and the first answer we got was we don't publish 2-player games. I mean, our homework was not done properly because we should have known this before.
Gotcha.
But actually, it was something that, this makes lots of sense. You don't if you don't publish 2-player games, the player count makes the difference in this case. So otherwise, when you are making a game, we didn't have this so far. We didn't have any restrictions on this.
Okay. All right. Last question, which really, I guess, is for Paulo specifically, since, Nuno, you're not big on 18xx games, but $20 $20 chip or $25 chip? Which do you play with? Which do you prefer?
We play with 20.
As it should. And as a former professional poker player, that seems so foreign to me. However, the more I play 18xx games, the more it makes total sense to make them 20s instead of 25s.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yep, it does. All right. So the last thing I have for you both, as well as I just on a personal level, I spent a lot of time at the What's Your Game booth last year at Essen because they were Mariano and Veronica were gracious enough to invite me to use that as my home base, kind of hang out there and hopefully help bring them traffic as well and whatnot. However, you guys both spent a lot of time there as well because you're good friends. Plus, a lot of your games have come through What's Your Game, and that was my first lesson, and it was overwhelming at times, for sure, and I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off at times. And there was a moment that has really, really stuck with me, and I really want to thank you both, but especially Nuno for this, that I was literally running down one of the aisles and ran into you both. And I was like, hey, we'll do the interview here in a little bit. I got to run over here, this and that. And Nuno's like, whoa, slow down.
Slow down.
That's not the way we do things here. That's not the way the Portuguese work. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, no, first we greet each other as friends, and a little chit chat. You make a personal first, then we talk business, and then once we're done talking business, then we part again as friends. And that has really, really stuck with me. And I have made a conscious effort every day of my life to slow things down a little bit and make sure that it's not just, hey, I'll meet you at so-and-so time. It's, hey, how you doing first?
Yeah, how are you doing?
And that really has, that meant a lot. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get all, whatever.
Mushy.
No, I just wanted to say,
but
thanks.
You're right.
That means a lot to me, and it really has stuck with me. So thank you.
I'm sorry. I know that this is going longer probably than you expected. I don't know.
You're fine.
I want to say something as well, because I remember specifically at a certain point in Essen, we were like, come on, come with us. We're going to have a bite. We're going to eat something.
To eat.
And you
were not eating.
You were like, yeah, makes a lot of sense. I don't eat probably for 24 hours now because you forgot to eat completely. You forgot to eat. So I remember this. This is stuck in my mind because I never forget to eat. It's it's one of those things.
It's also the Portuguese way.
It's also the Portuguese way. If you have a bite and a beer and a conversation, and then we can work better, much better.
Yes, and that steak sandwich is something I am very much looking forward to.
It's very good.
Really? At Spiel. Yes.
Every year we go there. Every year we dream the night before with that. Yeah.
I understand why now.
Yeah. It's very good. It's very good. Very good.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all I got. That's all I got. So, do you guys have anything else? No, I'm talking Nuno and Paulo. Do y'all?
We?
Yeah. Anything else that we didn't cover that you want to?
No, we actually want to do this again tomorrow. Okay.
It was really fun to be here. It was really, really fun to see you again, because we saw it maybe 1 year ago, probably.
Yes. Say hi to Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hello, Amanda. She's very shy. We know that she's very shy, but
you guys will get a chance to meet her in person here in a few months at Spiel. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. So truly, this has been a lot of fun. It's been. I realized.
By the way,
go ahead.
By the way, we will be at the Spiel this year. Okay, Brazil is not going to be for sale there.
Will you have
we are hoping to have. Yeah, we're hoping to have a demo. If proper demo. We don't want to have like the blendy graphics. No, just a cool demo version.
So it depends. It depends on how Mariano is rushing the graphics or not.
Sure.
We don't.
So
but
already
we plan to be there at What's Your Game again as well, with you and Amanda.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we're looking forward
and everybody
to it.
there to visit us.
Let me say something I just saw in the chat. The internet is not closed yet, okay?
Sure.
Wait a minute. So there's someone asking about Nippon 27
yes.
that I tweeted. To mention that Paulo early, when you talked about the expansions, he said, we have something that is not really an expansion, but it's more like a spin-off, if I can call it.
Okay.
And it's something that goes back to the Nippon 27 I tweeted about. So soon, in the next interview,
all right,
we'll have this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Sorry.
All right. No. I'm glad. That's awesome. So seriously, this has been a lot of fun. It's been. I mean, I consider you both my good friends, but at the same time, I appreciate you both taking the time, because I think the community as a whole, and by community I mean both heavy games as well as just board games in general, they appreciate kind of the veil kind of being peeled back and getting to know you a little bit as designers, but also the thought process that goes into it, and not just, oh, here's a game and we made it, the end. And so I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time. I know it's almost 11 o'clock there in Portugal.
Yep.
So thank you very, very much, both of you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And thanks to everybody watching at home. I mean,
Thank you, guys.
out of the industry. I mean, Mariano was in there. Paul's in there. You got Vital Lacerda in there. You got Tony Boydell. And I'm sure there's others that I might have missed. Yeah, just this is awesome, man. And I think this is a good thing for the community to be able to see the real you instead of just, you know, oh, who are these people? And I think this is something that we had talked about at Essen last year, and we're trying to make that available to folks. So thanks a lot for taking the time, fellas. It really means a lot.
Thank you for having us. Let me also thank the people on the chat and the ones that told me that could not be here because of the hour, but we'll see it later. So thank you, everyone. I try to answer all my geek mails and emails. Sometimes I don't, I forget. Don't hate me for that. Just send me another one so I could. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So if you guys are enjoying these, make sure you like and subscribe down below. Don't forget, if you guys are enjoying this, this is a tribute to our patrons. Without our patrons there behind me and represented by that number, none of this happens. So patreon.com/heavy cardboard. And with that, say goodbye, fellas.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.